Hiya, I'm Jasper, and welcome to your video review for Star Trek Voyager Season 2. So, as always, I'm going to do the good, the bad, and the furry. To start off the furry, again, it's a Star Trek show, so there's some creatures, and then aliens that I guess you could call sort of anthroid, but not really. So, anywho, moving on to the good and the bad. Basically, Season 2, much better than the first season. I liked a lot of the things they did. I'm gonna still try and stay away from like overall spoilers, but the show came out in '96, so moving on. Uh, the opening, the first episode, 37s, I thought was a little weak. I know there was like the history thing, getting Janeway in there, but I thought that it was a little weak. But I did like the payoff of it when, and I am going to spoil this episode, when nobody decides to stay on this planet that otherwise has like 100,000 or so humans, or a million, I don't remember, but like the fact that they all decided to stay and continue on the journey, I think was a good establishment of like, hey, like none of us like being to the Delta Quadrant, but we want to get home, not just make a new home. So I thought that was a good establishment there. Uh, the next episode, I really liked that they had Aaron Eisenberg, so Nog, well, not Nog's character, but the actor, guest star, and I think he's an excellent actor, was an excellent actor, and he did a fantastic job with this, and I like getting to see more of the Kazons, um, like what their culture was like. I thought that was a good exploration for it. And then the next episode, I didn't think was really, it wasn't really earned. It was a like, is this real or am I a crazy person imagining things episode? And this is the second season, okay? You don't get to have that episode in the second season. I don't care who you are. That just, nah, friend, you need at least a couple more seasons before you can do a good job of that. So I thought that was unfortunate. I mean, otherwise fine episode, but they didn't earn it yet, so it wasn't like, do I did, but no, they didn't do a good job of that. And then there were some middling episodes after that, like all fine episodes, but none of them really standout episodes in my opinion. But what I will say is that they finally did one, not a great episode, but they finally did one that got rid of the stupid Neelix and Tom Paris and Kes love triangle. Like they finally had an episode that forced, for whatever fucking reason, Neelix and Tom Paris to be together in life-threatening situations and like, oh, we're gonna die. I just want to let you know, Neelix, that I would never come between you and Kes, and I just want to let you know, Tom, that you're a good guy. I just get so jealous sometimes. Maybe I shouldn't. And I'm glad that they basically used that episode to be like, hey, you know that bullshit we were trying for the first season? We realized that nobody likes it and makes Neelix really annoying and stupid. So, boom. Now Neelix is just a fun character and a good character. And I like that. Like, I like the purpose of the episode. And then the next episode, once again, Kes gets superpowers. And doesn't know what to do with them, and it's fun to see the powers that she has. Also a little overpowered, which I think is the main problem with Kes, is that they would kind of go in waves of like, oh, she's superpowered, but we need to nerf that somewhat, but she's superpowered, and they just didn't know what they were doing. So it was fun in this episode to see those superpowers, and how they manifested, so that was fun, but still, Kes getting superpowers, and then taking them away for nerfing reasons. And then the next episode, Prototype, was where basically I liked it because it was a fun exploration of like, hey, when you make robots fight for you, eventually their AI is going to decide that the fight needs to continue. Or, I mean, if you've seen iRobot, where the logic of this master computer robot is like, well, I need to protect humans, and how to do that is protect them from themselves by like fucking murdering everybody. Yeah, that's my computer logic. And I just love movies and TV show episodes that explore that no matter how many, robotics laws you put into place to try and protect people, we are not the best logic programmers once you let a thing like self get smarter, if you will. And we're going to mess it up. And this is a great example of that. And then the next episode was the one with the Trabe Alliance. And I really like that it was a fun exploration of, hey, we can't make allies with anybody in this part of space. And I really like that exploration and being like, hey, here, you have the really bad people and then the like people that seem good and then like what could be going wrong and just their interactions and trying to form alliances as they progress through space. And instead of just being like, well, it doesn't make any sense for us to form alliances because we are going to continue in this direction and eventually leave their space. But I like how they were like, hey, we can't form alliances because people be bad, yo. And I especially like that because later on, once I think this when they get to the dark area and they have to form alliances in order to solve the problem. I like that it's kind of like, hey, don't form alliances, and maybe later on maybe do form alliances. Just depends on how space you are. Then there was Threshold, the Warp 10 episode, the worst episode in the entirety of Star Trek from the 90s. Just fucking terrible. It was dumb. How they did it was stupid. And the CGI that they used, their explanation of like, oh yeah, lizard people is how we're going to evolve to. And they didn't even do a good job of being like, it is one way that we could evolve. They were like, yeah, no, this is definitely the only progress. This is the only pathway for humanity's evolution going forward is to be lizard people. Yep, makes total sense. No, it doesn't. It was stupid. And then the fact that they're like, infinite velocity means I'm everywhere. Like, it messes up. Like, I get that, in Star Trek, the original series and the movies and whatnot, they were like, oh, warp 13, warp 17, warp 22. And then they changed it from a, geometric to an exponential scale. So I get it, but this was not the way to do it. Bad. Followed immediately by one of my favorite episodes, which is Meld. It's the one where Suitor, who is a just killer, he's just a killer, and Tuvok has to, he mind melds with him to try and figure out, like, because Tuvok is like, there has to be a motive. Like, there can't just be somebody who just decides to murder somebody. There has to be a reason behind it. And I really love that exploration of the human psyche through sci-fi means. And I love what it does to Tuvok, and I love what it does to Suitor, and I really love the actor who plays Suitor and how he plays him. He just does such a fantastic job. This is one of my favorite episodes in the show. You'll hear me say that a lot, by the way. And then after that was a fun episode where it was Dreadnought, where basically B'Elanna, the actor, was arguing with B'Elanna, the computer voice. And that was kind of fun to see. Like, I thought it was a fun interaction. And it was also like, gotta stop the speeding train before it crashes type of thing. And I thought that it was once again, great exploration of, hey, what are the consequences of your actions? Because you think you're doing one thing, and you can never see all of the dominoes that you are knocking over that can just spread out and have totally unintended consequences. So it's a great thing to consider when you are taking action. It's just like, hey, what are the second and third order effects of what you're planning on doing? And yes, they did that, but with a sci-fi tilt to this, but it's something that helped bring it to light via this episode, and I thought they did a really good job of that. The next episode is a Q episode, and you can always give me more John Delancey. I love Q, and I will always love a Q episode. And this one explores the concept of euthanasia, and I thought that they did a fun job with that. They explored it in an entertaining way, again with sci-fi principles, and I thought that they posed the question in an interesting way to have that moral conundrum. And then after that, Life Signs, it was okay. I mean, it gave us, like, the Doctor's stupid name, which was kind of unfortunate. Or fortunate, I mean, I guess, because I can make fun of the name Schmollis now. But it was just okay. It was kind of annoying because the super smart doctor lady was like, I'm going to murder this biological body of mine that, still has my actual brain in it and is what is, literally they're just transmitting my thoughts and feelings into this holographic body. So if I kill that, then I'll definitely kill myself. But I'm a smart doctor lady who doesn't realize that somehow. But I get that they were making a commentary on, how beauty affects somebody's self-perception and then people's perception of them. So I get it, but execution was okay. And then next, they finally completed the whole Paris being disgruntled thing, which was really, it was kind of frustrating that they did that this season. And I get why, that they were setting it up throughout a few episodes, and always being disgruntled to try and make it believable that he would join the Maquis. But how they did it, I thought was just very bad, because when this started was like shortly after we'd had several episodes of Tom getting better and being like, I love Voyager, and this thing has saved me, and it's so good, and yada yada. And then you sort of immediately start having like little bits and pieces of him being back to his douchey, like, con man self, and you're like, what happened? And they don't explain it to you until the episode where they don't let him, like, leave the ship and defect and then join the Maquis, or not Maquis, but, the Kazon, whatever else, before just revealing that, like, hey, it was all a setup. Like, you could have let the episode progress out and then have that be the twist ending, and then have maybe, like, a flashback or something explaining it. But no, before it even finishes, it's just like, hey, so he's leaving, and it's because we're trying to catch a guy. And then it was especially dumb because they spent several episodes. This is one of the few times that Voyager had something like keep going throughout, like have character progression in a series, like in several episodes. And they chose to have it on this, and then the payoff is that, oh hey, I'm gonna just warn you for something that you've literally probably already realized. Like you already found out who the bad guy was. So these months or weeks of me being douchey guy that I have to now repair all my relationships with, it wasn't even useful because you'd already found out the guy by the time I come back and the attack already happened. Like, it was done. And then, after that, the next episode was the like double Voyager episode, and that one was fun. I like, again, the use of the Vidians. I kept on thinking Vidians were later on in the show, but I guess they were, makes sense wise, in the first and second season. But I like the doubling of the Voyager and the twists and turns, the peril that the characters are in, and just how they accomplish that. And with the Janeway talking to Janeway type of thing. Like I liked how they did that. I thought it was well executed, and it was fun, and it was a good time. So I like that episode. And then the next 5 episodes are pretty much all hits. I absolutely love the episode Innocence, where basically Tuvok has to take care of a bunch of bratty kids, and just imagine how a Vulcan is going to deal with the illogic of fucking kids rolling around doing kid shit. And it was hilarious to see, and I love a good Tuvok episode, so anytime you can give me more Tuvok, I'm all there for it. And Tuvok was fantastic in this, and I loved like some of the concentration-y things and like how we got to explore how Tuvok helps to center himself a bit in this episode. And that was fun, and I liked his like seeing more capabilities that Tuvok brings to the table. That was just great. So excellent episode. And then the next, the Thaw, that's the one with the scary clown. And I thought that was an excellent exploration of what it means to be afraid and how do you handle that, along with reinforcing that clowns are fucking scary, okay? So, excellent episode to reinforce that fact. Moving on to Tuvix. Tuvix is, again, one of my favorite episodes. So, a lot of favorite episodes in this season and other seasons, but bear with me. So, Tuvix is just absolutely fantastic. The actor who played him was awesome. I honestly would have been happy to have Tuvix continue throughout the series. And you just heard me talk about how much I love Tuvok. And now that Neelix isn't a jealous douchebag anymore, I like Neelix too. I like how he like grains on other people just like in his effervescent way. That's a more fun, I like that Neelix. But Tuvix was absolutely awesome. And that's a credit to the writing and to the actor doing that, and how they brought him about. Like, I loved Tuvix, and I especially loved this episode because there is no right answer. And that is one of the things that I love about Star Trek, is that exploration of a moral question, and it doesn't necessarily answer it for you. It leaves it up to your own thoughts, but like having Tuvix be the question of, okay, well, which is the right answer? And that is, man, that is where it's tough to be a captain, because the captain is the one who has to answer that question, because it comes down to the captain making that choice of which is the right answer. And I still don't know which is the right answer. You let me know down in the comments down below which is the right answer you think, but I still don't know which is the right answer, and that is one of the reasons I love this episode. And then the next one was, I would say it's probably the weakest of the ending episodes, but I did still like it. It was the one where basically I figured that it being a 90s show, and Chakotay not having a love interest, and Janeway being a female in power or whatever, like, I'm sure that they had to answer the question, and from the special features commentary stuff that I've seen from the actual, Kate Mulgrew telling what she had to deal with during that time frame, I think that this was the episode, if I remember correctly, don't quote me on this, but if I remember correctly, basically this was like, the studio had been pushing for some type of romance between her and Chakotay, or at least her and somebody, and this was kind of the answer to that, to try and get there, without, but she kept on pushing back. And I thought that this was a good way of doing it, because basically it shows, why don't the captain and Chakotay get together? And it's because they literally have to be marooned on a planet with no other human-like species at all, and no possibility of any other human-like species persons coming down, and they have to be marooned there for months with absolutely zero hope, where not only is there zero hope, but Captain Catherine Janeway finally has to give up hope because of the lack of progress that she herself has been making with all of the science things at her disposal that she could want. And even then, it still takes months, and she still isn't like jumping head over heels, getting with Chakotay, and then as soon as they're back in the ship, it's Captain Janeway and Commander Chakotay, boom, like they are professionals. So that, I think, is a great way to be like, hey, we know you think something's going to happen. This is literally the only circumstances where there's literally no one else on the planet for months at a time and there's no other hope, is when that might happen. And so I liked that to be like, hey, not going to happen, guys. Move on. So that was fun. And then the last episode was finally an actual season finale. The first season finale was just like, what? That was a season finale? Link to my review in the description down below. This season finale was a true season finale. I will say that I liked part 2 a lot better, but I did like part 1 as well. I liked that they showing how they got marooned on the planet, and I liked the payoff of the secondary command processor. I thought that this episode was well written. It had good setup, and I will say that it's probably because of Seska, yes, that things happened the way they did, but it's also because of Seska that they didn't all get killed, if you think about it. So, not the villainiest of villains, which I appreciate. And yeah, great episode, great season finale. I'm looking forward to getting out my review of season 3 once I finish my rewatch of that. But what did you think of season 2? Let me know in the comments down below. But that's all I have for this one. Thanks for coming. Thanks for watching. Hope to see you at the next one. Bye.